All right, welcome back. Well, so we can continue now. I intend to come back to this thing that I'm sharing from the screen, the signal properties and signal types, basically. But before that, as I have promised, let's talk about how we are going to do this course. As you see, we are doing it live online, but I'm also recording, hopefully, because sometimes the recordings just go away, they vanish. For example, I'm a little bit worried about the fact that I just abruptly ended the meeting without stopping the recording. So I don't know what happened to the recording. I will have to check it. So some of the recordings may not exist. I hope that never happens, but that's a possibility. So try to attend as much as possible, because here you have the chance to open your mic and ask some questions and make some live interaction. That physical existence or live thing is an important thing for the students. It should be. But nonetheless, publish it on some medium, probably YouTube or something like that. I will learn how to do that. And talking about the recorded videos, I used to record this in several years previously. In most of the cases, the assistants were just helping me about the editing and things like that. And they are available in the Facebook page as well as YouTube. So in YouTube, if you search for Signals and Systems
Hocam,
EM305 from YouTube, you may find it. Yes, a question?
bekleme odası hala açık sanırım da bekleyenler var. 16 kişi falan. Arkadaş yazdı bana.
Okay, let's admit them all. I don't know why. Because I just turned it off. Admit. Where is? How did I do the waiting room turning off thing? Where did I do that? Now I cannot find that. There used to be. Are you seeing my layout?
Hocam more kısmında meeting settings olması lazım ama.
Ah, yes, the second one. Yeah, here it is. Waiting room. It's on again. Why? I don't know. I turned it off. Now it's turned off again. Okay, thanks. Very well. So let's come back to our discussion. So we will be doing the recordings, as you see, and we will be sharing them. The previous shares you can just search and find. I think the YouTube versions were from an assistant's personal YouTube account. I think it still exists, so you can just search for it and find them. And in the Facebook page also, there are videos and links to the videos, but you have to scroll down a lot, okay? And start from the first videos, if you're curious about that. Maybe there are some things that I was mentioning then, which I'm not mentioning now, or maybe I'm mentioning now, but I didn't mention them. So I don't know. It may be a good idea to follow the live courses from here and occasionally look at some previous videos for extra information, to see me younger, for example. And or you may prefer to, if I can do that, you may prefer to watch the recordings whenever necessary. For example, I may be saying something that you did not understand right now. So you may go back to the videos and slow it down a little bit, or just watch it again and again, and then until it makes sense. Or for those of you who have just no time, you can just skip all the courses and watch the videos at twice speed and easily have a glimpse of the course. But regarding the how you will be successful in this course, it's not really about understanding. Understanding is a necessary condition, but it's not a sufficient condition. If you cannot understand, of course, that's a pity. You first have to understand the flavor, the concepts. But afterwards, you have to make a lot of exercises because that's the key to answering questions. And unfortunately, in the exams, there is no other thing that you can do. You have to answer questions. How do you answer questions? You can only answer questions if you have exercised enough. And our book by, I'm writing here, Oppenheim and Wilski with Young, I guess. This book of Signals and Systems. This team also have the digital signal processing and discrete time signal processing books, so don't mix them up. This is the Signals and Systems core book that we're looking for. We will be following in this order. That's why I'm recommending this one. But otherwise, there are infinitely many other Signals and Systems course books that you may consult to, including Schaum's outline, for example, which is just full of questions. But the ordering is a little bit different. For example, it first starts with the Laplace transform and then proceeds to the Fourier transform, whereas we start with the Fourier series and proceed to the Fourier transform and then to the Laplace transform. So that's why I'm saying that this is our textbook. These books had been terribly expensive all along. Originals, of course, and the Turkish versions were also very expensive. I wouldn't recommend, I don't know, because the terminology we are using in English, so if you just switch to the Turkish terminology, God knows what it is. For example, I will say convolution, and I don't know what the Turkish version of that one. So, but in the exams or throughout the course, we will be using convolution. So learning Turkish of it, I don't know. But if you're very keen on using those books, you can use them. You may want to buy them. They are expensive. But having a book is something very nice. I cannot insist. It's beyond my insisting limits. But yeah, it's a good thing to have a book. I have, for example, a copy of this book. And when you have the copy of that book, you start liking it. You start turning pages and seeing the formulas and tables and start liking it. That's it. That is something nice to have the book. But it's expensive, and with the current exchange rates, it's, I think, astronomical. Well, you may try to find it by some other means, which I cannot tell in a medium which will be recorded and published anonymously, but you know what they are, right? So that is the book. What else can we talk about? We can talk about the exams. And for that, I'm not sure. I usually make 2 midterm examinations and 1 final and a project to have your combined grade from this course. But now that we are online, just the university is pushing us to have only 1 midterm. I don't want to do that. I want to find some other means to bypass that one. And as you may see in the Canvas system, at the server Mergen, that 20% for the midterm and 80% for the final, huge, is just a default percentage. And that percentage was made with the assumption that, or with the hope that, by the end of the semester, this pandemic may end and you may arrive at Eskişehir and we may do the final, which would be a fair way of making assessment. And so let's measure everything with respect to the final, which will not be online, but it will be one by one, or in Eskişehir, in the campus. I don't think it will work. I doubt that it will ever work that way. So we will have to split evenly. But then it comes back to the fact that we have to make fair exams. So what is a fair exam? A fair exam is an exam which where cheating is not very easy. Of course, cheating is possible at all circumstances. I mean, but we don't want that, and we don't encourage you to do that. So how can we do that? I don't know. We will see. It's gonna be classical exams. Still, I'm going to show you a page of questions or a page of one question, and I will give you some time for you to work on a piece of paper. And then you will just maybe scan that page and send me that scanned PDF by some means. I have to learn that one as well. But meanwhile, I intend to open Zoom as well, so that I can see you by just sliding from the grid view, where you will have to open your cameras and mics and be silent, dead silent, because when you open the mic, if everybody makes even a slightest amount of noise, then it's a huge noise. It becomes a huge noise. You may want to open the mic, but turn off the speakers, because the speakers wouldn't look back and you won't be disturbed. Because I want to see you doing your work. And when you're using that kind of a strategy, make sure that your Zoom account name is your name and surname. For example, right here, I can see people with real names, but I haven't checked, but let's check. Let's make a check. Let's look at the participants, and if see if any person has an alias which does not really correspond to a name or a surname. Yeah, Hatice H. He. So I don't know the surname, for example, right? She may want to change her alias in Zoom to make sure that if there's only one Hatice, that may be okay, but still it's very not. Jad, J-A-D, Jad. Okay, I don't know who he or she is. That wouldn't work, and it's forbidden. There is Ömer, and that's definitely not me. And there's another Ömer Can İmren, which is perfect. Okay, we know who he is. So the other Ömer may want to use his name. So Zeynep, yeah, there's is Zeynep over there. I don't know who is Zeynep. So use your names and names. Observe you sincerely solving questions. That would be quite meaningless to bypass this course. You may bypass this course from another university. That's also a possibility. But do you want to learn, and do you want to be fit and exercised? If you want to do it that way, please be sincere. You may get a project. We'll talk about the projects right now. That's what an electrical engineer should be. Okay, we have the code of ethics. Are you a member of IEEE, for example? In the IEEE membership, there is a code of ethics. what kind of an electrical engineer you're going to be, and how you will behave, and how you will work in the professional life. So this is a code of ethics, right? I expect you to be decent people. If you're not a decent people, if you're not fair to yourself, we don't expect anything from you in the society anymore. You may be killing or ignoring cats or dogs or other people if you're not decent to yourself. And we don't expect any good thing as an output of an engineer who has studied several weeks, several years in your primary school, high school, and then in the university, and all those for nothing because you're not decent or sincere to yourself. You have to be that way. You have to just solve the questions and submit the answers. Of course, you have to exercise to be able to solve the questions well. So that's how the exams will be. They will be classical, and I will try to give you the questions one by one. And I intend to make at least 2 midterm examinations, not 1. And what else? The projects, yes. In the previous years, for those of you who have failed from the previous years, they already know it perhaps. Or if you are following the Facebook page, if you scroll down a little bit, you will notice some project topics. And those projects they had been conducted by groups. What are those groups? Well, you have to construct them. But now you are online. You're also at different physical places, and we do not encourage you to come together and try to make a team and things like that. So everything must be somehow online, virtual, and through the internet. But that's also a part of actual working medium, right? In the professional life, now people are working from home. Some people, at least. Even some engineers. So be creative. Find ways to communicate within your group. To first construct the group. How are you going to construct the group? It may be your first duty to go into a chat room or a discussion forum and make groups by yourselves, which I will not interfere. Groups of 4 will be good. If you cannot find 4, it may be 3, but 4 is okay. 4 is the maximum, let's say, and 3 is the minimum. So 3 or 4 groups. And if you scroll sufficiently well, you will also see some project ideas. They are just ideas in the Facebook page I'm talking about. They are just ideas. They are not the only things that you should be doing. You can think of other project ideas. You may search from the internet about some signal processing related project ideas. At first you may find them to be, we don't know what it is, you will say. But that's normal. Of course you don't know. You haven't seen the course yet, and you haven't finished the course. So of course you don't know, but it's your duty to find the relation between the concepts from the book and try to learn it before we are learning it in the class, if necessary. And try to relate it to something that you have previously seen. It may be a hardware, it may be digital, it may be circuit-wise, or it may be purely computational and showing something. But it must work. The program or the circuit or the system that you construct must work. That is a necessary condition. The other necessary condition is that it must contain signal processing. So it cannot be a digital system project, for example, which is making a measurement, and from that measurement, it is just doing something. For example, the digital circuit which just gives an alarm if it's a car sensor, let's call it a car sensor. So it is connected to the back the rear bumper, and if it is 30 centimeters away, which it just measures without any signal processing, because it's just a device that does the signal processing within itself, and it gives you an information that it is less than 30 centimeters, and it gives an alarm. This is not a signal processing project. That wouldn't be. A signal processing project must have a time or space variation. So you must have a very long vector of discrete data, or it may be a continuous. And that continuous must be processed by you to do something, to come up with a conclusion. Those example projects that you will find are essentially that all it would course because it's and it's
İçiniz kapalı hocam.
have you started hearing me? Yeah, good. Sorry for the disconnection. It's still in order. Let's see if it's going to work. Are you seeing my page?
Yeah.
Okay, if page, then that's fine. So let me continue about the projects. Yeah, the project ideas are a little bit available. You can come up with from there. From two earphones, can you? Okay, yeah, we are experiencing technical difficulties, as they say in the American films. Okay, in 5 minutes we will give. I will stop actually because I think today it may be a little bit unhealthy about the connections. So let me wrap up what I'm gonna mention. You will have a project and you have to do it. You have to do it together. Find methods to make meetings online, and think of some innovative ways to utilize signals. Writing phone applications, maybe. Those are hot topics nowadays. So why don't you just do something with a signal of interest. That signal can be your voice, it can be your image, it can be just anything. Machine learning is also very popular nowadays, right? So you may want to think of those things, but if you're going to use some machine learning and such advanced techniques in your report and in your demonstration and presentation, which you will do at the end of the semester, you have to explain that a little bit. Okay, otherwise it's not going to work. I was planning to explain you these, signal properties of continuous time, discrete time, even odd signals, periodic, aperiodic signals, and things like that. But I think it's not going to be possible under these circumstances because the traffic, the bandwidth problem is seems to be huge. Probably other people are also on the internet making this very difficult for particularly for this hour, I think. So I will release you. We will meet on Wednesday. Wednesday we have another 2-hour lecture. And over there, I want to give you a quiz. So try to attend that one. That quiz will not be very strictly evaluated. I'm not going to take it seriously, but I'm going to take it seriously in terms of seeing your level. Okay, what are the things that you know, and what are the things that you don't know? For example, if for the quiz questions, if you are able to answer most of the questions, I will just finish the course and say that you already know that. Otherwise, we will continue. Okay, but that will be a critical thing, and it will also show me your learning outcomes, which is something important for our accreditation purposes. So those are the things that I want to talk about. You may ask some questions if you wish. I'm just stopping sharing my video now. Okay, and I will ask you now if you have any questions or any comments to your friends. Let's hear them for the last few minutes.
So could you please explain what you demand when you are demanding from the project, when you ask us from a project?
Yes.
I didn't fully grasp what is your demand.
What do we mean by that? Right. Okay, that's a good one. Of course, we will continue explaining those things, and you will continue asking questions. From the project, in terms of the evaluation and assessment, my requirements will be threefold. One of them will be your project report, which is like a graduation project report. Of course, not as big as that one, but at least, I don't know, maybe 10 pages long or something like that, which is a printed document. And it may be accompanied by some links to the software that you have written, or even some videos, okay, it may contain. But there's a report, saved, file-wise saved report. The second one is your presentation. You have to make a presentation. Quite a professional one, actually, but it will be extremely short, like 10 minutes. Strictly 10 minutes. That is you may want to explain first some of the ideas or things that we haven't seen in the class, or what the project is about. It may contain some of the things that we have seen, and then you will also explain how you have combined all those signal processing and signal analysis concepts all together, and what you did. You have to explain. And the third one is your demonstration, because your project output must be an actual thing. It must be running, it must be working. It may be even something that is running, like, I don't know if I can find it. Yeah, something like this maybe. Okay, which works like this, and then it is moving its legs. So, or it may be a circuit which is doing amplitude modulation in communications, but the communication systematic, you must explain in your presentation. And then you have to show it. You have to show it from the computer if it's a computer program running. If it's an app, for example, you have to show the app doing its job. So these are the three things that I demand from you. And I also demand from you to attend the presentations of others. So we will join all together and you will be listening to the presentations. The presentations will be to each and every one of us, not to me only. So those are the important things. I would like to have some intermediate progress reports. For example, it may be starting with a project proposal. You propose to do a project in a way with a timeline, which will be your project proposal, and it must be available within a month, okay, within 4 weeks. You have to first submit that one. I may open some Google Drive and you may upload there, for example. So we know who you are, who your group is, and what you will do and when, and what are your outcomes that you expect at different time intervals. That's a project management. There may be a second progress report, an intermediate progress report. Where are you? Where you should have been, and how will you proceed? If there is something bad, what was your B plan in your project proposal, and did you switch to the B plan? Things like that. And at the end, you will do these three things: the submission of the project report, the presentation, and the demonstration. Of course, you will be only evaluated according to the last. And because of that, I'm pretty much sure that many of you will be just choosing nothing, just waiting weeks and weeks. And after, I don't know, maybe 2 months, you will write me an email saying that, well, sir, I cannot communicate with any of my friends. I'm not from this class. I'm from, this is my 4th year. I don't have any friends. So I couldn't find a group team and things like that. Or even if you're a group, you will say, first we thought of this to be a good idea, but later on we noticed that it has problems, so we're not gonna do that. So what are we gonna do? Even in the last week, you will be trying to formulate a project and try to present it and things like that, which is terrible. You will not be able to pass that way. You have to finish everything within 4 weeks. You have to find your groups, decide on the projects. The projects doesn't have to be different. Coincidentally, you may have the same project topic for 2 groups or more, maybe. But that's a little bit risky because one of the groups may have a better outcome or a better presentation than yours. So you will be graded accordingly. But that's possible. It's not forbidden. I just beg you not to be late. Don't be late. Form your groups, start working, start researching, start making Zoom meetings with one another, right? And that's what you're going to do. Any other questions? Can we make the project by ourselves? I mean, without a group? Yeah, that is a question that I always encounter, and that's what I was answering. And the answer is no, because that's a training for the professional life. You cannot do that. There are some places where you do your own individual work, like making a lab work. For the first 2 years, you had been doing your lab work almost isolatedly. The one outcome defined for this course is unfortunately a group work, and you will have to find a group. You may look for, in discussion or chat forums, you may look for people like you who cannot find another group. You may come together, learn your ideas, discuss your ideas, and form a group and say, you will do this, you will do that, and try to come up with an idea. So the answer to this, can we make the project by ourselves, is a no. Any other questions or comments? Yeah. Even if we are a group, is the grading based on the individual or everyone in the group gets the same grade? Yeah, I don't know. 1 year, I did this, but then I found it to be not working. What I did was this. I asked the students within the group to evaluate one another, to give grades. And that grading is like the Eurovision Song Contest. So you are 4 people, for example, so you have 3 people to evaluate, and your grades are 2, 1, and 0. You have to give someone 2, another one 1, another one 0. And according to those variances, I just changed the grade a little bit. Of course, your team gets a grade, and then I change it according to those grading within yourselves. But many of the students just found it disturbing. So I started not doing it that way, and I did it the group gets the same grade. That's what I did. Well, even though I noticed that some of the students just worked harder and the others just did not. But it's your job. That's your responsibility. That's in the professional life. That's also the way it goes. If you're in a team, you must help the team. And if somebody is not helping the team, you must find a way to make him or her to help the team, right? We formed the group this summer and made a project like auto-solving Sudoku with image processing, but I'm not sure, does it count in signal processing? I mean, we are detecting edges of the squares in a 9x9 Sudoku. That's interesting. You have taken image processing before Signals and Systems then. Have you? I would really like to know. You may just open your mic and talk a little bit about that. Beyazıt ışık.
Hocam sesim geliyor mu?
Yes.
Hocam biz YouTube'daki yabancı tutorial'lara falan baktık. Genellikle ilk başta OpenCV ve PyTesseract üzerine çalıştık.
Yes.
Sudoku'daki edge detection kenny image alarak köşeleri algıladıktan sonra tek
So
tek...
you just did it as a hobby?
Yani proje olduğunu biliyorduk. Projenin konularına baktığımızda böyle bir şey yapabileceğimizi düşündük. Yani
Okay, very well.
deneme amaçlı.
Excellent. If I were you, I wouldn't tell about this in the course, and I would do this as a group, and it would be just a perfect, excellent project.
Grup olarak yaptık hocam. 3 kişi yaptık. Ama...
Yeah, okay.
Tamam.
Yeah. But now you said that you have already done it, so it's usually unfair to do a project again. But yeah, no, you may try to find some improvements maybe to run it better. Yeah, but it's an excellent idea. That's a very good project. It's a very good team project, and you are quite safe because you have done it.
Hocam sesim geliyor mu?
But of course you have to explain what you did from OpenCV and what it means. The OpenCV is a library, by the way, for those of you who don't know about that. It's an image processing computer vision library. But using something from there is okay. But you have to know what it is and try to, you have to explain. The presentation is critical. You cannot just say that from OpenCV we took this function and we did this and it gave us this output. Why? How? How does it work? What is it really doing in terms of mathematical input-output relations, signal processing, right?
Anladım hocam.
That would be critical. But you are quite in a good level, let's say, for the project. That's a good one. Can we form a group with only 2 members? Yes, okay. But that increases the amount of projects and that usually makes things to last longer. The presentation hours would be longer and longer. But yeah, okay. That's not a problem. Sir, when should we notify you of the created groups? You have to notify me by submitting in the given deadline. I will mention about that. I will announce that later. You have to write a project proposal. What are you going to do? What will it be? What is your project timeline, etc. So when you submit that project proposal, it means your group is complete. You have made the meetings, and you have decided on a project, and you have decided how to do it, how to make it progress. So it will be about 1 month or 1.5 months, 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks before the submission. If you did not submit, then your project grade will be cut by 1/3 because that's critical. You may still continue and say that, okay, first I decided not to make a project, not to form a group, but now we are sorry about that and we are forming our group. You can still do that in the later weeks, but your grading will be affected. So the answer is like within a month, everything must be complete. Not the project, but what you're gonna do in the project must be complete. Any other questions? You may also ask it verbally. It may be Turkish, but there are some foreign students in this. But I understand Turkish, so no problem. Because if there is no further question, then I will stop the recording and stop the meeting. And on Wednesday, you will have a quiz. So don't forget to attend. All right. Okay. See you then. I'm stopping the recording.